Tonight on Fox 10 Investigates, disturbing video of a Gilbert man abusing his mentally incapacitated daughter. The victim is a young adult with the mind of a child, and her father's arrest didn't happen until weeks later.
So why did it take so long to alert authorities? Here's Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum with this exclusive report.
It started with a tip we received about a well-known dentist charged with abusing his own daughter who has special needs. Now we have the evidence from police, and we want to warn you, video of the incident is very tough to watch.
I want people to know the truth. I don't care at this point. I just want them to know the truth.
The truth about Jared Pope's arrest unfolds on April 26, 2022 via Gilbert police body cameras. Due to GPD policy, footage inside a private property is blurred. Why officers are at Pope's home stems from this video, and we warn you, it's graphic and the content may be disturbing for viewers.
I'm this close to getting really mad. I'm going to come over there, I'm going to drag you in there, and I'm going to rip your clothes off and put them on. And right now, you are going to run today. Go put them on. I'm not going to come back. If I come back in here again, I'm going to grab the dog and I'm going to slam your head against the dog.
Guardianship court documents say the victim is Jared Pope's biological daughter. He and the victim's stepmother, Linda Pope, became her legal guardians in March of 2020 once she turned 18. She functions at the level of a 6 to 9-year-old child and is considered mentally incapacitated by Arizona statute because of her special needs.
You get in there! Put your clothes on! You hear me?
He's trying to get his daughter to exercise.
You're not going to live in this house. Either I'm going to whip you every day till you run, or you're going to learn to run. You got it?
After pulling her to the ground and hitting her, the yelling continues.
I'm not going to fight with you like this every day. You come home, you do therapy, and you go on a run. We all have to do it. It's part of your freaking life.
The victim defecates on herself, but the verbal abuse keeps going.
What, you crap your pants? Huh?
Yes.
God, how do you crap your freaking pants? Get off the toilet. I'm going to start whipping you again, make you crap your pants.
The video captured with the Pope family's own camera on March 11th, 2022, a month and a half before Pope is arrested.
I'm well known in the community. I have 9 dental offices. I'm the CEO of a big company. I mean, I'm very well respected.
Dr. Jared Pope actually owns about 13 dental practices between Arizona and New Mexico. The majority are here in the Valley, and he works mainly out of his Chandler office. Under Arizona law, Pope had to notify the State Board of Dental Examiners about the felony charge of vulnerable adult abuse within 10 business days. The board's statement to Fox 10 Investigates says, quote, while his domestic violence conduct is a concern for the dental board and the public, it was not criminal conduct in the treatment of a patient, and therefore the dental board concurs with the criminal court's adjudication of the matter and concluded that the criminal courts properly adjudicated the case and no further administrative court proceedings need to occur. Pope would eventually plead guilty and get 3 years of probation.
Horrifying, terrifying. Just so sorry for her. Obviously, she's terrified.
Dr. Nora Baladarian is a clinical psychologist in Los Angeles who studies the abuse of people with developmental and intellectual disabilities. How much of the time is it the guardian or parent that's responsible for the abuse?
That's pretty frequent, too. And in the case that you brought to my attention, either direct family members, in other words, the parents, or uncles, aunts, grandparents.
According to APS data, there were more than 20,000 alleged perpetrators in 2022. 35% of them family members, leading all categories. 28% listed as other, and 27% identified as caregivers.
None of the clients that I've treated would have the ability to call the police and say, I'm being abused sexually or physically or emotionally, verbally by my parents or grandparents.
Since 2018, total allegations of abuse, neglect, and exploitation, among others, have increased with nearly 35,000 reports to APS in 2022. Before his arrest, Pope explains why he lost control.
She doesn't like to exercise. She likes to overeat. So there's this struggle all the time that we have trying to keep her active enough so she doesn't put on extra weight, things like that. She likes to push back. And I couldn't get her to comply. I just had asked her. She said, no. As a dad, I just kind of lost my with her. I've never done that.
But per GPD's report, police confirmed 3 prior APS investigations into Pope allegedly assaulting his daughter. Just days leading up to the arrest, police say it was the victim's stepmom who sent the video recordings to a friend. This woman made the report to APS after pleading with Linda Pope to report the abuse.
You have to do something. I feel like now I have to do something. Really, you know that you should have called the police. It's your job. You are the guardian.
Did she say why she never reported it to the police?
Honestly, she told me that she's gathering these videos. She went to several attorneys last year. She says she's gathering these videos to get a bigger settlement when she finally does decide to divorce him, because she could then use it as leverage.
The officer then speaks to APS, who had not seen the evidence yet after just receiving the report.
The victim was beat so bad she peed and defecated herself. This has happened in the past, and the AP keeps the victim home from school after the abuse.
Caseloads in Arizona continue to rise. The average case amount is now nearly 60 per investigator, more than double the national best practice goal of 25 cases to an agent.
She had said that Dad was rough on her and stuff, and that Dad had hit her.
That's Linda Pope on the phone with police. She says she was in Europe when the attack happened, but she did watch the videos. When she returned home the next week, she saw bruises on her stepdaughter.
What kind of prompted you to take those photos?
I just saw them, and I hadn't seen any ever before. I mean, he's a good dad, and he loves his daughter.
She saw that video, she should have called?
Yes, immediately or within 24 hours as a responsibility generally for caregivers.
Pope's 3-year probation includes anger management classes, and once probation ends, his felony conviction turns into a misdemeanor. He's allowed to have supervised interaction with his daughter, but cannot be her sole caretaker for an extended period of time. Pope released this statement. It says in part, "I love my 20-year-old special needs daughter very much. In a moment of parental frustration, I acted in a way I deeply regret. I have been fully compliant with all legal authorities and the dental board. Those who know me know that this isolated situation does not reflect the loving and caring relationship I have with my daughter." Linda Pope's statement says, quote, "He has been her primary parent since she was a year old. Raising a special needs adult comes with unique responsibilities and challenges which we are learning to navigate. Jared and his daughter share a very special bond, and this single event is not representative of the great relationship they have." For Fox 10 Investigates, I'm Justin Lum.
Fox 10 also reached out to Adult Protective Services about this case, but a spokesperson says they can't provide specific details due to client confidentiality.
Police in Scottsdale arrest a man on several counts, including sex trafficking and other charges. Fox 10's Justin Lum with that story for us.
Officers say 61-year-old Stephen Hurry started living with a woman in California in May of last year when he employed her as a housekeeper. They say he asked her to move to Arizona with him for an opportunity to make money. While living in Tucson, police say Hurry took photos of the woman and placed ads online offering sex for money with her. He's accused of taking her birth certificate, ID, and social security card and other documents from her. Investigators say the two relocated to Scottsdale last November, where he posted more online ads, setting up dates with the woman and recording video of the encounters without her knowledge. The day after Christmas, detectives say she decided to leave Hurry. They say Hurry assaulted the woman during an argument. A neighbor called 911 and officers took Hurry into custody. Police say the woman was subjected to sexual abuse and beatings from him. Justin Lum, Fox 10 News.
Man behind bars in Phoenix tonight facing murder charges out of Oklahoma.
This is connected to a case of a missing girl after her big sister was found wandering the streets alone. Fox 10's Brian Webb live outside Phoenix Police tonight with more on this developing story. Brian?
Well, the girl still hasn't been found, and there's no word why the sisters weren't living with their biological parents. But what started out as a missing persons case now looks like the possible murder of a pretty young girl. People from far and wide are flocking to this small church in the just as small town of Surreal, Oklahoma. But praying isn't their top priority. It's finding a little girl.
Hundreds of people were out with flashlights in this small town looking for this child, hollering out her name, getting on their knees in the dirt, looking into culverts, looking under abandoned homes.
The trouble started Tuesday when a postal worker found a 5-year-old girl wandering the streets and begging for food with no adult in sight.
She was very scared and terrified. She was saying to the mail lady that she's been left. They've left me. They've left me. They've left me.
Big sister is now in protective custody, but where is 4-year-old Athena? Investigators and volunteers are using every trick and tool they can find, from search dogs and drones to horses and helicopters, with the town's trash collection put on hold.
If you have any sort of video cameras or Ring doorbell systems, if you can come down to the church and provide that to law enforcement, it would be very beneficial.
Then more troubling news on Friday. The girls' caregivers, a husband and wife, both arrested. 31-year-old Alicia Adams, behind bars in Oklahoma, facing 2 counts of child neglect. And 36-year-old Ivan Adams, behind bars in Arizona, facing murder charges back home.
This is an ugly thing, she said, but let's continue to hope and pray that we find Athena.
Court documents show there is evidence on Ivan Adams' phone that leads to his pending murder charges in Oklahoma. We don't know what that is or why or how he was eventually captured in Phoenix. We do know he is awaiting extradition back to Oklahoma. Live in Phoenix, I'm Brian Webb, Fox 10.
Lori Vallow claims she has an alibi. The Chandler mom charged with conspiring to kill her 2 children and her new husband's late wife. But according to court documents, she claims the kids were killed while they were at her late brother's apartment. Vallow is also asking for permission to meet with her husband, Chad Daybell, who was also charged, to discuss strategy before the case goes to trial in April. Both Vallow, Daybell have pleaded not guilty to murder, conspiracy, and grand theft charges.
A second grand jury, I should say, has declined to indict a former Tucson police officer who shot and killed a shoplifting suspect in a motorized wheelchair. Ryan Remington was indicted on manslaughter charges back in August. He shot and killed 61-year-old Richard Lee Richards, who police say stole a toolbox and had a knife on him at the time. Remington was working off-duty security at the time of the shooting. Defense attorneys challenged the indictment, arguing prosecutors presented misleading statements to the grand jury. A judge granted their request to bring the case to a grand jury for a second time, who opted also not to indict him. Remington was fired last year for what police say was excessive force. Richard's family has also filed a civil rights lawsuit.